Hey everybody, I'm Daniel the Cross-Cultural Nerd. It is Sunday, October 15th at the time of this filming. I just took the HSK exam today. What is the HSK, you ask? HSK stands for Hanyu Shuipiang Kaoshi, roughly translated as Chinese level exam. You know how for people coming to America or the UK, from another country to study, you got to take the TOEFL or the IELTS exam. Well, the HSK is like that for China. And you got to take the HSK in order to study in China. There are, as of now, 9 levels, and 3 of them were just added. Level 1 and 2 are laughably easy. You could probably get to HSK level 2 or higher within a semester of intensive learning. HSK level 3 is like lower intermediate. HSK 4 is pretty solidly intermediate, upper intermediate. And the HSK 4 is what someone needs, minimum, to study at the majority of Chinese universities for a bachelor's degree. HSK 5 is tougher still, and has about 2,500 words, possible words in the study guide. HSK 6 is even tougher with 5,000 possible words in the study guide. It actually doubles, or almost doubles, with each level. Now, HSK level 7, 8, and 9, I'm not exactly sure how many words those entail, but those are super highly advanced for foreigners who are studying Chinese academically, looking at like ancient characters and that kind of thing. Those are the tests for the foreigners who speak Chinese better than Chinese people, okay? I took the 5. Now, again, as you know from prior videos, I've been in China since August 2012, and in 2013, I took the HSK 5 for the first time. And in the main HSK exam, there are 3 sections. You got first listening, and then reading and writing. I'll get to speaking in a little bit. My listening was really good because, you know, like speaking and listening are my strong points. My writing was just passing, and my reading was because at least at the time I was a very slow reader, and I was faced with the sadistic choice of actually getting full comprehension of the question by going too slow, or going quickly but probably missing crucial information and likely getting more answers wrong. And that brought me down, and each section is worth 100 points, and you need to average a 60% for the whole exam. And my average was a 59. I missed it by 1 percentage point. 177 out of 180 points. You need a total score of 180 out of 300. And yeah, heartbreaker. And I said, one thing that got me, on the reading, I had like 20, it was like a 90 question section, 45 minutes to do it. And I left probably 20 blank because I ran out of time. And I didn't do what you absolutely have to do when you're running out of time on a multiple choice test. I did not just randomly pick a bunch of random stuff and let chance hopefully fall in my favor. And with the questions I'm missing, like, 1 in 4 chance I could have easily gotten those last few points to actually pass, much to my eternal regret. Anyway, I got busy working and, you know, living life and didn't come back to it until recently. And my wife was like, hey, maybe you should retake that test. You know, have it on your resume. Chinese government looks kindly on that sort of thing. Go on and do it. I'm like, okay, sure. And I'll be honest, I didn't review as much as I probably should have, considering that I'd been out of the classroom, been out of the Chinese classroom for a decade. But I had plenty of experience, you know, on the street speaking and listening for so long. My reading is faster now. But, you know, I tried again. And this time, at least for the higher levels of the HSK, I think at least level 4 and up, definitely level 5, level 6, the HSKK is also taken together. It used to be optional, but now it's taken together with the HSK. HSKK is Hanyu Koyu culture. That is the Chinese level speaking test. And yeah, I heard that was a thing, and you know, I'd taken some practice stuff online, and felt fairly confident about it. And my wife and I were like, oh, or my mother-in-law and I were like, oh, you'll do fine. Your speaking's really good. And so this morning, my wife and I went to Zhengzhou. We had lunch with a friend, and she went to hang out with a friend while I took my test. And thanks to the comparative lack of foreign students in China post-pandemic, there aren't nearly as many testing times outside of spring. The majority are in springtime. So, like, I went to the one place in Henan on the one day in Henan that this thing's offered after June. And, you know, went over the ground rules, got to our computer where we were stationed, logged in, and, you know, we did the test. And listening, I'm still feeling pretty good about. I remember definitely not understanding a few questions, including early on, which is kind of a bummer because the early questions are often a little easier, but there were just some where they couldn't quite get. So I was just like, educated guess, might have to try at least. But I feel like I passed listening. Reading, I feel like I did significantly better than the last time, because I only had 10 questions that I didn't have time to like fully go through an answer, so I did what I failed to do last time and just like answer whatever, and then I went back and seriously went through like 4 of those before time ran out. And writing, that was probably my sketchiest one, honestly. I don't feel like I did as well in writing as I did before. Or maybe I did. It's hard to say. Like, there was a part where you had to, you know, put words in order to make a sentence, a grammatically correct sentence, and I feel like I did okay on most of those. And then there were 2 things where it's like, here's a title, use these 5 words, and like use these 5 words in the composition, and come up with something, 80 characters more or less. I'm like, okay, and did my best on it, but wasn't entirely sure. And then there's another one that was, here's a picture, write something about this picture, 80 characters more or less. And that was significantly easier. I feel like I blew that one out of the water. Now, the HSKK, that is the Hanyu Koyu culture, or the Chinese level speaking exam, was a different story. And my mother-in-law and my wife both seem confident that I do well, because, you know, my speaking is actually pretty good. I can converse with someone in Chinese for quite a long time, depending on the topic, of course. My mother-in-law doesn't speak English, so I got lots of practice with her. But this is kind of important for anyone who wants to take the HSK later. The HSKK is not divided between level 1, level 2, level 3, level 5, level 6. It's like beginner level, Chuji, medium level, Zhongji, and high level, Gaoji. And so HSK 1 and 2 roughly correspond to Chuji, 3 and 4 correspond to Zhongji, and level 5, level 6 correspond to Gaoji. And so I'm level 5, but, you know, the fact that it's lumped down to 6 implies there's possibly going to be some tough stuff. So we had 6 sections of the HSKK. And the first 3, you listen to an audio sample and you repeat it aloud. And on the practice things, it was a couple sentences at a time, and I did okay with that. This was a freaking paragraph. Like 4 to 6 sentences at native speaking speed. And you only got 1 chance to listen to it. And then he had to repeat it. And so it's like, okay, like, I'm trying to listen to this, and it's just going on and on and on. And by the time it's done, you've forgotten what the first sentence was. And it's like, okay, I can't do this. And probably at least 2/3 or more of the other people they're testing were the same thing. It was just very much geared for HSK 6 people. And, you know, I told the invigilator, I couldn't do this in English. You're telling me, like, repeat 5 sentences to me in English, rapid fire, and then tell me, say them back exactly. No. I would have difficulty with that. I told my wife and her friend about that, and they said they probably couldn't do it in Chinese. So, beware. If you're taking the HSKK, you're gonna have a section like that, and it will be friggin' hard. Practice your rapid listening, okay? Woo! That's tougher than anything I've ever had to face in all my years learning Chinese and speaking Chinese. Fourth section was significantly easier. We had a passage, about 3 paragraphs, and we had time to look it over and like really get it in our brains, even write down pinyin in a little note space if we wanted, and then opinion's a romanization. And then we had 2 minutes to read it aloud. And I got through, I'd say, 95% of it. When it comes to reading aloud, I'm fairly slow. But fortunately, I knew, I'd say, all but about 5 of the characters. And, yeah, I didn't quite get through everything, so that'll be a mark against me. But I did pretty well on that one. And then parts 5 and 6 were, you have a question and answer the question aloud. And the first question I didn't quite understand. It had a keyword that I didn't know. And yeah, so I winged it as well as I could. And then the second question was much easier. The second question was with more and more people using computers and cell phones, some people are saying we don't have to learn how to write characters anymore. And, you know, talk about this view. And so I did, as well as I knew how, on like a spur-of-the-moment thing. And, yeah, I'm not confident about the HSKK. Like, I'm normally good at talking. And this is the ironic thing. It's an exam of speaking, and you don't actually talk to anyone. It's repeating something you hear, reading something aloud, and answering a question. Now, reading something aloud, I completely agree with. Answering questions, I agree with. But please, like, if any of the people who organize the HSK see this video, please add a conversation section with a real person. 加一个对话的部分. Because that right there would help so many other people who are wanting to take this thing. And it'll help show you a lot of their true ability. Okay? Anyway, fortunately, the HSK and the HSKK are separate. I still have to pass, I think, with at least a 60 on the HSKK. To pass that, I don't think I got that. But I'm going to say 70% certain I passed the HSK. And I talked to my old Chinese teacher from Sias University, where I studied for 2 years. And she said that HSKK must be taken with the HSK, but they are judged differently. If you pass both, you pass both. If you pass the HSK but not the HSKK, you get credit for having passed the HSK anyway. And if I want to take the HSK again, I just got to retake the whole thing. Or I could sign up for just the HSK as well. Yeah. If you're out there learning Chinese or you want to learn Chinese, I strongly suggest you do take the HSK. Just so you have that official certification. Again, level 1, level 2, laughably easy. You could, again, if you're in China studying in an intensive course, you could easily get HSK level 2 or higher in a term. HSK 4, a lot of my friends at CIOS got that within 1 year. Like, they were qualified to study a bachelor's degree in China in Chinese in a year with the program that we were involved in, which is great. You know, if you're into Chinese in China, get that on your resume. I think it could help. Anyway, I'll post a video in a couple weeks telling you what my results were, and results should be out in approximately 2 weeks or a little more. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the comments section below. I'll get back to you. Don't forget, look at my link tree. Follow me on Facebook, X, Mastodon, Instagram, Coast, and Hive. I'm Daniel, the Cross-Cultural Nerd. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.